Okay, picture this. Have you ever found yourself reluctantly handing over $15 for a tiny tub of frozen cookie dough just because you thought it was, hands down, the best way to help out your local middle school? We've all been there, right? You sign your name on that little paper sheet, assuming that a premium price tag automatically means a huge donation for the kids.
But what if I told you the kids selling you that dough might actually be getting a really terrible deal? Today, in this explainer, we're digging into a brilliant 3-day, 7th grade math lesson plan called the Fundraiser. It's essentially a mini mission designed to teach middle schoolers how to see right through misleading marketing pitches using nothing but cold, hard math. It's so fascinating because it takes these concepts that trip up full-grown adults every single day and just breaks them down into undeniable numbers.
Here's our roadmap for today. First up, how flashy numbers lie. Second, finding the real net. Third, beware the price trap. Fourth, reading the fine prints. And finally, putting mouth over marketing. All right, part 1, flashy numbers lie. You know the drill. Whenever there is money to be made, you can absolutely bet there is a loud, aggressive pitch trying to grab your attention. This curriculum tackles that reality head on. Just listen to this promise for a second. Earn 70% profit, the best deal anywhere. That is exactly the kind of flashy, bold print marketing BS that this lesson targets. It sounds absolutely incredible, doesn't it? If you're a student council president or really anyone just trying to raise some money, you see 70% and you immediately think you've hit the jackpot. But here is the crucial question this lesson forces the students to stop and ask. How much of that cash actually reaches the school? We've got to shift our focus completely away from that flashy sticker percentage and look at the actual ground truth of net revenue. Because as you'll see, the highest price and the biggest percent are not always the same thing as the most money in the bank. Which brings us to part 2, finding the real net. So, day 1 of the lesson kicks off by introducing the ultimate tool to cut through all that noise and get to the truth. It uses what the curriculum calls the patience framework. It all boils down to this. Net revenue equals the price times the share kept times the units sold. The actual real-world number we care about doesn't rely on just one giant percentage plastered on a poster. It relies on 3 specific variables working together. If you ignore even one of these, you are literally flying blind. Let's check out the exact starting options these 7th graders are dealing with. First, we have candy at $2 with a 50% share and 300 expected sales. Then we have cookie dough at $15, keeping a 40% share with 80 expected sales. And finally, discount cards at $10, where you keep a massive 90% with 120 expected sales. It's a classic setup for a trap, really. Do you instinctively go for the highest price, the biggest volume, or the biggest percentage? Let's put the extremes head-to-head here. We have what I like to call the cookie dough illusion with that premium high price tag of $15, going up against the discount card reality, which has a lower $10 price but a whopping 90% share. Without actually doing the math, it is so incredibly easy to assume that the premium $15 item is going to bring in the biggest bucks. I mean, it just feels like it should, right? Well, let's look at the teacher's answer key for day 1. The math completely pulls the rug out from under the cookie dough. Because of that low 40% share and a lower projected volume of only 80 units, the cookie dough nets a mere $480. Meanwhile, those boring $10 discount cards, they run away with a massive $1,080 in net revenue. The math absolutely proves it. Net equals price times share times units. It's not just whichever single number looks the biggest at first glance. Moving right along to part 3, beware the price trap. Now we're on day 2 of the curriculum, and the students are investigating a second, very common financial illusion, the false promise that simply raising the price will magically yield more money. The vendor comes back with this pitch. Hey, raise the discount card price from $10 to $12. It's a 20% increase to make more. And honestly, it sounds perfectly logical. If the cards are selling so well, why not bump up the price tag a couple of bucks? 20% more per card must equal 20% more overall profit for the school, right? It is a super tempting suggestion. But let's actually calculate that final net revenue. Keeping the price at $10 nets us that sweet $1,080. But hiking the price up to $12 actually drops our total net down to $972. You heard that right. Raising the price somehow lowered the total money brought in. The day 2 teacher answer key explains exactly why this happened. The crucial lesson here is that price and sales move together. By raising the price to $12, you inevitably scare off some buyers. The model shows the volume dropping from 120 expected sales down to 90. Those 30 lost buyers completely cancel out the bigger price tag, which entirely backfires the vendor's strategy. You have to model the whole relationship, not just the price in a vacuum. Which brings us to part 4, reading the fine print. Welcome to day 3, where our hypothetical 7th graders face the final boss of marketing illusions, the giant percentage claim. Remember that loud vendor yelling about a 70% profit on a $20 item? Well, buried deep, deep down in the fine print of that pitch is a $500 upfront startup fee. Yep. And that right there is exactly how a giant percent can hide a very, very small payout. Let's literally walk through the math step by step to dismantle this vendor's claim. Step 1. Calculate the realistic sales. The curriculum gives a realistic estimate of 60 units sold. So $20 times that 70% share times 60 units equals $840. Not bad, right? But step 2, we have to subtract those hidden fees. So $840 minus the $500 startup fee. That leads us to step 3, discovering the real net. It's a measly $340. So that loud, flashy 70% profit vendor leaves the school with just $340 in actual net revenue. Meanwhile, those boring, reliable discount cards are still sitting pretty at $1,080. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that a big percent on a sticker is absolutely not money in the bank. It ignores the fees, and it usually assumes a level of sales you simply are never going to hit. Finally, part 5, math over marketing. Let's wrap up this myth-busting journey alongside these 7th graders. The fundamental objective of this entire lesson plan is summed up perfectly right here. Raise the most money. With the math, not the loudest pitch. It is just so incredibly empowering to see how this teaches kids to make real-world decisions based on actual quantitative reasoning. It's teaching them to entirely ignore the flashy fonts and all those exclamation points of aggressive marketing. So, to wrap it all up, here are your 3 major financial literacy takeaways from this curriculum to help you see through the marketing smoke and mirrors. Number 1, always compute the all-in net by multiplying your price, share, and units. Number 2, remember that high prices can actually lower your total sales volume, which hurts your overall bottom line. And number 3, giant percentages often hide massive upfront fees. Always, always read the fine print. I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. If 7th graders can learn to bust these financial illusions, we absolutely can too. Where else in your adult life are you falling for the loudest pitch, rather than taking a step back and calculating the true net? Whether it's a new car lease, a flashy credit card reward program, or even an investment opportunity. Maybe we should take a lesson from the middle schoolers and just do the math. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.